In a competitive world, average won't cut it. The Success Launch Point shows you how to stand out, deliver massive value, and rise above the crowd. With on-demand courses, expert coaching, and a community focused on growth, you'll accelerate your career and your paycheck. It's time to level up. Check out modernobserver.com/launchpoint.
The Gaza ceasefire is in effect. New York's AG Letitia James indicted. Lower tax rates announced, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. Israel's defense forces on Friday said a ceasefire agreement in Gaza came into effect from 12 p.m. local time, 5 a.m. Eastern time, with troops pulling back from some parts of the enclave under the first phase of U.S. President Donald Trump's peace plan. The announcement comes shortly after Israel's government approved a deal with the Palestinian militant group Hamas, paving the way for the first phase of a ceasefire and the return of all remaining hostages. Israelis and Gazans alike celebrated in the streets on Thursday, chanting President Trump's name after he brokered a ceasefire aimed at ending the 2-year war in Gaza. Hamas has declared the war over, and Israel's cabinet ratified the agreement on Friday, clearing the way for hostages to begin returning early next week. Trump said he expects the remaining captives to be freed Monday or Tuesday and plans to travel to Egypt for a formal signing ceremony with a possible stop in Israel. The United States is sending about 200 troops to Israel to help support and monitor the ceasefire deal in Gaza as part of a team that includes partner nations, non-governmental organizations, and private sector players, U.S. officials said on Thursday. Senate Democrats on Wednesday attempted to stop the Trump administration's attacks on narco-terrorist, drug-carrying boats off the coast of Venezuela. Democrats forced a vote on the issue under the War Powers Act. In a 48-51 vote, the effort failed to garner enough support to move forward. The resolution, led by Senators Adam Schiff of California and Tim Kaine of Virginia, would have blocked the U.S. military from engaging in hostilities with any non-state organization engaged in the promotion, trafficking, and distribution of illegal drugs and other related activities without congressional authorization. There has been no authorization to use force by Congress in this way, Schiff said Wednesday, saying the strikes risk escalating into a full-blown conflict with Venezuela. I feel it's plainly unconstitutional. A federal grand jury in Virginia on Thursday indicted New York Attorney General Letitia James on charges of bank fraud and false statements to a financial institution after prosecutors presented evidence to that panel. The 5-page indictment issued Thursday accuses James of making false statements in connection with a Fannie Mae-backed mortgage of about $109,600 that she obtained to buy a 3-bedroom home in Norfolk, Virginia in August 2020. James, whose primary residence at the time was in Brooklyn, New York, is accused of lying on a rider to that mortgage, which required her to use the Norfolk home as a secondary residence and not rent the property, according to the indictment. But instead of using it as her second home, the indictment alleges she rented it to a family of 3. The value of several U.S. rare earth mining companies surged by double digits yesterday after China announced it was tightening exports of the metals, which are crucial in the development of the computer chips powering AI and other technologies. Investors speculated that the increased scrutiny of rare earths leaving China would encourage the U.S. to ramp up investment in its own supply chain. China's move comes ahead of an expected meeting between President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping later this month. China has been limiting exports of the important metals in response to Trump's tariffs. The IRS announced tax rate changes primarily to take effect for tax year 2026. The standard deduction, claimed by the majority of taxpayers who don't itemize their returns, will rise to $16,100 for single taxpayers and $32,200 for married couples filing jointly in tax year 2026. The One Big Beautiful Bill also raised the standard deduction for the 2025 tax year to $15,750 for single filers and $31,500 for couples filing jointly. Adjustments were made to the IRS's marginal tax brackets, with the income thresholds that apply to various tax rates updated to account for inflation. The top tax rate remains at 37% for the 2026 tax year and applies to single taxpayers with incomes over $640,600 or married joint filers earning over $768,700. Adoption credits will increase to $17,670 in tax year 2026, up from $17,280 in 2025, while the amount of the credit that's refundable will be $5,120. The overall changes cut the tax rates for the lower and middle classes. Germany has proposed raising their retirement age to 73 in an effort to prevent the collapse of its pension system. The proposal comes from a new scientific advisory board established under the German Ministry of Economy, which indicated that there is little time left for necessary reforms. Experts have noted that Germany's economy has been stagnating for several years while the demographic situation continues to deteriorate. The proposal has generated significant backlash in Berlin. Recently, Economy Minister Katharina Reich suggested raising the retirement age to 70, a proposal that also faced considerable criticism. As of 2023, the average life expectancy in Germany is approximately 81.2 years. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of the Raw Naked Truth Daily News Brief, as well as our sister podcast, Carnivore Radio, with news analysis and commentary, and the rest of the Xvadio Podcast Network at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcast app, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.